along, everyone. Huge weekend of racing. 3 Group 1s. I'm Graham Cunningham. This is Andrew the Hawk Hawkins swooping in from Australia. First of the Group 1s we're going to talk about is the Chairman's Sprint Prize. And it revolves around a small core of horses. We're going to play win, place or no. Get through these main contenders very quickly. Let's start with Lucky Sweynesse. I think I know the answer. But why is he a win option?
Well, look, he has to be a win option. He's been the champion sprinter this season there in Hong Kong, or here in Hong Kong, I should say. It's nice to be back. But he's a horse that has done everything right. His only blip has been in that Hong Kong sprint when things just didn't pan out for him. He's clearly got that ability. He's a superior horse, being able to win with that penalty last time out, carried 5 pounds more than most of his rivals, Wellington aside. To be able to come back now, set weights, how do they beat him?
He's 4-2 up against Wellington. And the last 3 have all gone to Lucky Sweynesse. Wellington's a massive favourite of mine. I'd like to be able to tip and back him, but I cannot find an obvious reason, Andrew, why he should turn the form around.
And I think you're exactly right. Why can he turn the form around? He got that win in December. We did see him able to make that win over Lucky Sweynesse. But as you say, Lucky Sweynesse has just been on this ascendant path. He keeps stepping up to new heights. We saw him go to another level, winning that Queen Silver Jubilee Cup. The only slight query is something Zach Purton mentioned this morning, which is that he's had his last 2 gallops, and he's been a little bit keen, which is something that he's never been before in his gallops in the morning. So Zach was saying he's just not sure whether he might be over the top or whether he's at the point where, look, he's just ready, fresh, wants to get back to the races, which after a season he's had, it's probably one or the other. You just don't know which one it is.
He's going to be very short, so bear that in mind. Wellington has won this race the last 2 years. He's going for the hat-trick. But don't toss Sight Success out here. He ties in very closely with Wellington on this season's form. Went to Dubai. I think you were there. I thought he ran very well against a possible draw bias.
He did. I think most people, once the draws came out, thought, look, he'd probably get across the outside rail to lead. That he'd be the type who might just find a little bit tough over the last 100 metres. But no, to his credit, he ran well. The horse has actually come up the inside, which is not where you want to be in Dubai generally. But he's run very, very well. And I think we've seen that he's able to match it against a world-class field.
Let's speed this up. I'm going to go number 4, Courier Wonder. Win, place or no?
No.
I think no. Number 5, Duke Y is a terrific warrior. Win, place or no?
No, but his form through Sight Success in Dubai matches up okay, but for me, no.
Flaming Rib is the sole British sprint raider. Good quality horse. Fantastic to see him having a dig. Michael Owen's been in some very tough away games over the years. None tougher than this.
It's going to be a very difficult assignment. I actually thought he'd run well in Dubai. I thought he'd be the right type who'd be in that position just behind Sight Success and would be able to potentially come over the top of him the last 100 metres. Disappointed in Dubai. Again, you did mention potential draw bias there. I think for me, wait till he gets back to the UK.
Japanese sprinter, Aguri, win, place or no?
Place, I think could roll forward. Wasn't necessarily suited last time out on the wet track that they had in the Takamatsu Kinnan. Place.
I'm going to go no for Master 8 down at the bottom. He looks a real long shot. So let's try and snag the Quinella or even the trio here. I think we're both agreed that Lucky Sweynesse sets the bar really high. What about 2 and 3?
Well, for me, 2, 3, Wellington, Aguri. You can throw in Sight Success as well, and I think that you're playing around that. But I'm going to be trying to get that Quinella of Lucky Sweynesse, hopefully over Aguri, but we'll see how we go.
Hong Kong all the way. Lucky Sweynesse, Sight Success, Wellington. Good luck in the Chairman's Sprint Prize.
Second of the Group 1s coming up from Sha Tin on Sunday. It is the Group 1 FWD Champions Mile, a race that has produced plenty of great stories over the years, but we might get our first 3-time winner on Sunday in Golden 60 Graham.
How'd he do it? It's not normal for a horse to be that good for so long. 24 from 28, 8 Group 1s, nearly 14 million sterling in prize money. 24 times he's put his pretty little head in front in a race. He's unbeaten. He's never been beaten when he's led in a race. So he gets in front. He is an absolute killer. I keep thinking that Father Time has to be tugging at his tail. And I definitely thought that in December when California Spangle got the better of him by a diminishing neck in the Longines Hong Kong Mile. But he's been very good since in an Epic Stewards Cup and a tactical Hong Kong Gold Cup. I think it might be harder than many people expect. But we know he's beaten California Spangle more than once. I think he's 3-1 up in that duel. We know he's super consistent, and we know he's a little bit more relaxed than he used to be. So I think he's the likely favourite, a certain favourite, and the right one. But I wouldn't be bailing in at 1.3 or 1.4. I do think California Spangle can give him a run, albeit California Spangle wasn't as impressive as I hoped last time.
Coming in as the fresh horse on the scene, whereas a lot of these have been racing throughout, do you think that's a positive in Golden 60's favour?
I hope so. He's a demon of a horse, isn't he? When he sees the front, it's a question of, do you think California Spangle can bounce back to his December form? Yes, he won a Group 2 last time with a penalty, but he had to dig pretty deep, deeper than I thought he would. Tony Cruz has made no bones about the orders for Zach Burton. Just lead. Do whatever's necessary to lead. Now, there are one or two other front runners in here. What did you make of California Spangle last time, and can he come back to the December level?
Look, I think he can, but I must say I've been quite disappointed seeing him this week at the track.
Really?
Catching him, he's looked plain in his work. He's looked very workmanlike. He just looks like he's not really a healthy, happy horse, which before we saw him come out and win in December, he was thriving. He was bouncing around, just a very different type of horse. Saw him again before the Derby when he ran in the Queen Silver Jubilee Cup, and he was sort of showing signs of wear and tear then, but he just hasn't looked the same horse this week. Yeah. And I'm thinking, Tony Cruz, we know he's a very tough trainer on his horses. A lot of horses will thrive. It's very much a sink or swim regime. I'm just starting to think maybe California Spangle's starting to sink rather than swim, and that for me is a major concern.
Okay, that's useful to know that he hasn't been thriving in appearance. Down the card, Waikuku's been a really good horse. He's beaten Golden 60 once, but he's been beaten by him a lot of times. Hard to fancy?
Hard to fancy. He's just out of form at the moment.
Here we go. Kiwi stroke Aussie Raider. Aegon, could we pronounce that?
Aegon is how it's been pronounced in Australia and New Zealand anyway.
Blinkers first time need to have a dynamic effect, surely.
Oh, absolutely. It's an interesting move, isn't it, for a horse that is as seasoned as him to put the blinkers on first time. Hearing Andrew Forsman this morning, he was talking about how he's just the most laid-back customer. It was raised, are you concerned that he might over-race or race too fiercely? He said, no, he'll never do that. He's too relaxed in his races. The only concern with him is that he may miss the start and they're wanting to get into a forward position. If he ends up back in the field trying to sprint alongside Golden 60, he simply doesn't have the sectionals to be able to match a horse like Golden 60.
Throw you the other Raider from Down Under, My Oberon, via Britain. It's got pretty good wins in Australia.
Yeah, it does. The concern is that the best form in Australia has been on soft ground, but we saw him perform on good firm ground in Britain, and we saw him go to Dubai and run a creditable race behind horses like Lord North and Panther Lassa in a Dubai turf. I think he was only beaten 4 lengths, so you can't rule him out completely. But I think that Australia and New Zealand, they've had 8 goes at this race, have been 0 from 8. I think that's going to continue.
Beauty Joy showed flashes of brilliance and nuttiness last season. The nuttiness seems to have eased away, but a bit of the brilliance seems to have ebbed away as well. He's several lengths behind Spangle and 60 on various bits of form.
Absolutely. I think, to me, he goes into the no category. If we are going to go the win place no, he goes into the no category. I have heard a couple of people pushing him this week, but for me, as you say, he's just lost a bit of that brilliance. We did see him really create the race in December that allowed California Spangle to turn the tables on Golden 60. Will that happen this week?
I don't think Tony Cruz will be too happy if it does. Glorious Dragon has to be no with a capital N.
Absolutely. No, look, great odd horse, but
Healthy Happy has a tactical role to play.
He does. He'll probably roll forward. For me, still a no, although he did run better than expected last time.
Voyage Bubble's a Derby winner under a daring French Alexis Bedel ride, but on the numbers, I think he's bottom rated.
He is, and while I'm excited to see the Derby horses later in the card, we're getting to see the likes of Tuchel and Beauty Eternal, who finished 2nd and 3rd. We get to see them in Class 2 company. Now, I'm excited to see them in Class 2 company. If they were in a Group 1, different story, set weights. For me, I'm still not convinced about this 4-year-old crop. For me, it's a no for Voyage Bubble.
He probably wasn't the best in the Derby,
no.
And if that suspicion is right, he's definitely not the best in this lot. So I think we're both agreed that it has to be, yet again, Golden 60. How about the Quinella? I sense that you're quite keen to toss the second favourite, the Spangle.
I am, but the thing is that trying to find the horse otherwise is quite tricky. Could it be a horse like an Aegon with the blinkers first time? Potentially. Could it be Beauty Joy jumping back to his best?
There's potential here, isn't there?
There is potential, but I think it's one of these races where, to me, Golden 60 stands out. I'd probably play something like an Aegon to try and get into second with blinkers first time, but again, you're taking a chance. For me, it's a very difficult one to find, that second horse. So I'll play that Golden 60 Aegon Canella and hope that something comes of it.
I think no Hong Kong jockey, any jockey, has ever ridden the same Group 1 winner 4 times consecutively. Vincent Ho goes for that. Golden 60 goes for to be the first horse to be the first winner 3 times in succession. All sorts of milestones on the line. How do you oppose Golden 60? We don't.
Exactly right.
Welcome back to a moody Thursday evening at Happy Valley Racecourse. Kids are playing football. Joggers are on the track down below. Racing here last night. Let's get on to Sunday's feature.
I thought you'd be going for a run here before you get to us.
Power walking is my thing around here. And the power was optional. Let's get on to this QEII Cup. 25 million Hong Kong, give or take 2.5 million sterling. It brings together last year's winner, Romantic Warrior, several Japanese raiders. But let's start with the Brit angle. An 11-year itch needs scratching here. 11 years since Red Cadeau won the Hong Kong Vars. Not one single British-trained winner since. Yes, we've had COVID. Yes, there haven't been masses of runners. But it's a long time between drinks. What do you make as an Aussie watching Dubai Honour go down and steal your lunch money?
I was thrilled. I was absolutely thrilled. I love seeing them come down to Australia. And the thing was, for those of us that are bettors or horse players or punters or whatever you want to call them all around the world, it was extraordinary. He came to the Randwick Stakes first up in Sydney at Rose Hill, and they let him go off at 5-1, and it was one of the biggest mysteries to me. I still cannot understand how he went off that price, given the horses he was against. There was this,
and especially given Haggis had won the race with a Dave.
He had, and there was a belief that he may be better on soft ground, and potentially he is better on soft ground, but still, it wasn't a rock hard, a good firm track. It was a good track there at Rose Hill, and the way that he cantered home didn't surprise me at all. And then comes out and beats Animo in the Queen Elizabeth.
We have to assume that Animo was somewhat below his best. How far below do you think?
Look, I don't think he was that far. I personally don't think that he's at his best.
And he's a champion, Animo, isn't he? He's a true champion.
He's an Australian champion, and I need to use that qualification because we haven't really seen him against anything of great caliber. Now, I'd say that he's a horse that at a mile would be competitive anywhere in the world. I was hoping he'd go to the Queen Anne. I thought he'd be competitive. Mile and a quarter, not so much. And look, he ran well behind State of Rest. We saw what State of Rest did last season. Probably should have beaten State of Rest in a Cox Plate, but whether he's actually at that elite level is a different matter.
Let me ask you this about Dubai Honour. I really like the horse, and I can see there being punters who say he's only £2 below Romantic Warrior. He ran to that rating last time out. Romantic Warrior didn't. More on him in a moment. And he's going to be a significantly bigger price on the Hong Kong tote. I need to put this to you. The times on a good track at Rose Hill, 2:02.3, and on a soft track, and this was a better performance to win the Queen Elizabeth, 2:07 and change, Andrew.
Yeah.
If they run along at a decent gallop at Sha Tin on Sunday, they will be just either side of 2 minutes. He did run well here 2 years ago, Dubai Honour, when staying on, slightly unlucky fourth in the Hong Kong Cup. But I do think it's a different question. It's the only question on him is, will he handle really fast, slick, charting ground?
I think that has to be the query, and I think that's a legitimate query. I think that if he does get a bit of rain, which has been in the forecast, although it's looking a lot more promising in terms of fine weather now, if he gets a bit of rain and that sting taken out during the card, I don't think rain beforehand is going to make a difference. But if there is that rain during the card and it does just slick up a little bit, I think he has a chance. I think his chances are lessened significantly getting onto good to firm ground.
William Haggis has 5 Aussie Group 1s in the last 3 years, I think. He's only ever had 6 runners in Hong Kong. Hasn't had a winner. He's desperate to tick the Hong Kong box.
Well,
I think we have to have him at least as a high place chance.
It has to be a place chance, and I think he's a legitimate win contender. But it's a race full of win contenders. It's a race where you can make a case for a number of horses, and it is a tactical affair.
Let me put this very simple question to you. If Romantic Warrior, last year's winner of this race, last year's Derby hero, if he turns up in the form he showed to win the Longines Hong Kong Cup in December, is it a straightforward case of much the best?
I think so. But we haven't seen him run to that level again, and that's where we just need to see him reduce that again.
The first run after that was in a terrific battle over a mile, which is not really his trip. I would be slightly more concerned, not that he didn't beat Golden 60 in the Hong Kong Gold Cup, but just behind was Money Catcher, just behind was Glorious Dragon, just behind was Panfield. Golden 60 and Romantic Warrior are panels better than that trio. So I got the impression that there's a little suggestion that the Romantic Warrior of December is not really rolling into this race in the same form. Would that be a fair assessment?
I think that's a fair assessment. I guess the good thing is he's had that time in between runs now. He's coming into it fresh. We saw what he did fresh going into November, and so we get to see him. We get to see him in a different light here. I think we get to see him hopefully able to reproduce that run. But can he? It still remains a query.
Morning trials are just that. Yes. Morning trials. Zach Purton climbed aboard Romantic Warrior 12 days ago in a trial. I got the impression Zachary wanted to have a little peek under the bonnet, and when he peeked, there was a lot there, because in a pretty good trial, he clocked 22.2 coming home. So it looks like Danny Shun might have backed off him a little bit after December and bringing him to that peak again. Have a look at that December form. Horses he beat included Panthalassa, Saudi Cup hero. Jack Daw has won a Group 1 in Japan. Russian Emperor, Hong Kong horse, has gone away and won a decent race. Money Catcher himself has won a good race. So no question that 124 rating for Romantic Warrior is valid. It's legit. And the question now is whether he can bring the December form to the back end of April.
Let's hope he can, though, because he did look like that next star when he won in December. The way in which he did it was extraordinary. I think we all left thinking that we'd seen something special, and you just want to see him back it up. Interestingly, he'll be the first horse ever to win the QEII Cup and the Hong Kong Cup in the same season. Other horses have done it in the same year. He did it in the same year last year. He won the QEII Cup and then the Hong Kong Cup. No horse has done it in the same season, come off the Hong Kong Cup and won the QEII Cup.
Neither of us trying to knock this horse.
No.
But there's a potential that he could go 1.5, 1.6, especially if the earlier bankers have gone in, and there will be plenty of short price favourites this weekend. So we roll out from Romantic Warrior and into Dan on the Kid, who was 4.5 lengths behind Romantic Warrior in that Hong Kong Cup. He is a specimen. He is a gorgeous-looking horse who's training well. Have we got strong or medium-sized reasons for thinking he can narrow that gap or even reverse the form?
I think that he's coming into it fresher this year, which I think is a help. I think you look at a lot of these Japanese horses, often December comes right at the end of a long season. He's coming into it as a fresher horse. We saw him run really well last time out in a strong Osaka High. We saw, as you said, Jack Daw win that race. And I think we've seen since Jack Daw 2,000 metres probably a little bit of a query. Stars on Earth ran home well. Dan on the Kid ran home well. And I'd say he's looked better this week than he did in December.
Yeah.
So that's
3 Japanese horses we need to talk about. Dan on the Kid. I think we'd both go, perhaps not win, but definite place chance.
Definite place chance.
Further down, I am keen on Geraldina and not quite so keen on Prognosis. Am I on the right track there?
Well, I'm actually the other way around. I'm actually thinking Prognosis might be the horse that can step up. Geraldina, I'm concerned. I went back and watched all her 2,000 metre runs because I was trying to get a handle on her at the 10 furlongs. And every time she hits this flat spot and just struggles to pick up. Now, under a tactical race that we're likely to see on Sunday, I'm concerned about if they do go quite slowly, Money Catcher rolls along at his own speed, and then they pick up the speed. I just worry about her picking up. Prognosis, I think he's got the scope to get up to that level of the ratings of some of his rivals. The query with him, he's had a lot of injuries, had a lot of issues. Again, he's a horse that is unexposed. We haven't seen him do it yet. And I just wonder whether it would be better to see him in a race with less sting in it, a race that's a little bit of an easier introduction to set weights, grade 1, weight for age racing than this.
Rating's useful, and he's 113 on the back of a Group 2 success. Yeah. So he needs to find 7 minimum to go close. I quite like Geraldina. I do take that point about maybe she gets a little back and comes calling perhaps a little too late, but she's a good quality filly, Group 1 winner, and she can finish strongly. Money Catcher, we should mention. They used to call him Money Snatcher here because he was 0 from 10 in his first season. But he's come on a bundle this time around, and tactically, he's going to get what looks like a fairly soft lead.
And that's going to be crucial here. He is really going to determine how this race is run. I think that we're going to see him roll forward. It's going to be really a chance just to see what he can do out on the speed. As you said, he wasn't that far from Romantic Warrior in a Hong Kong Gold Cup, and that gives him some sort of place chance.
Last, and possibly least, Tourbillon Diamond's a smashing horse. He was second at a big price in this race last year. But last year, I think because of a COVID spike, it was Hong Kong only. Some dangerous visitors are in town. So let's go down the card. Win, place, or no. Romantic Warrior.
Has to be win.
Agreed, has to be win. Dubai Honor, I think there might be one to beat him, but there's a price, and that price is probably around 7-2, where he's getting quite attractive. So I'm going to go certainly win possibility for him.
I've got win possibility as well. I think you have to, and I think, as you say, price sensitive. He's going to be the type of horse who you must include if he gets out to that price.
Dan on the Kid hit a place in December. Every chance he can be in the mix again.
Place chance for sure.
Tourbillon Diamond?
No.
Money Catcher, tactically important, but at the business end he should be found out.
Yeah, I think rough place chance, leaning towards no. I'm going to go no.
Strike, clearly you fancy prognosis. What price would you be tempted to back him at?
Well, see, this is the thing, and this is where my concern comes in, is that it's being ridden by Zach Burton, and that is going to cruel any chance of a price. If you had a visiting Japanese jockey, someone who the locals weren't so familiar with, different story, but you're going to have all these all-ups, especially through some of Zach's rides earlier in the day.
Yes.
And so, to me, I think that the likelihood of a price is gone. So, from a betting perspective, he's unattractive.
Yeah, Zach Burton wins on Lucky Sweynesse and California Spangle. There'll be all sorts of roll-up money, and that affects the price.
And the thing is, he's got horses like Beauty Destiny earlier in the card, who I know is going to be a short price, and things like that. There is going to ruin that all-up. Yeah.
And Tourbillon Diamond, we don't like. Geraldine, I like a little more than you, but I do take that point. So, again, I think Romantic Warrior is probably going to be 1.6, 1.7, thereabouts.
Yeah.
He might win, but if not him, are you thinking Prognosis and maybe Dubai Honor?
I think that would be the three I'd be leaning towards. I think the market's probably going to have it right. I think that the market's going to have it Romantic Warrior, Dubai Honor. We'll see what happens after that. And that's where I think I'm going to be interested to see the price Prognosis versus Geraldina. As much as I prefer Prognosis to Geraldina may very much be a better price, a more suitable price.
I'd like to see a dead heat.
Oh, here we go.
Dead heat between Romantic Warrior and the Brit, Dubai Honor, and for Danny Shum to puff out his chest and say, we're off to Royal Ascot.
Oh, wouldn't that be something? That would be fantastic.
Look, Wellington could be a Royal Ascot horse. If he revives, he doesn't have to win, but if he goes a close second, he could be a Diamond Jubilee horse. He might have just waited a year too long.
That's my concern.
If he'd have gone last year, he'd have been a big chance. But let's round up the QEII Cup. I'm going to go Romantic Warrior, Dubai Honor, and perhaps Geraldina to hit the board at a price.
And I'm Romantic Warrior over Dubai Honor and Prognosis for me. So we're going head-to-head Prognosis, Geraldina. We might have a bit of a tussle there on race day.
Good luck.
Well, the lights are coming on here at Happy Valley. It's Thursday night here in the city track in Hong Kong. And Graham, doesn't this bring back some memories here from years gone by?
My apartment's just over there. Yours is a little further up the hill.
It is just a little further up.
More expensive one, yours, of course.
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all.
So lovely to be back. 3 big Group 1 races, loads and loads of prize money, loads and loads of possibilities. And the great thing is, last year, it was as easy as 1, 2, 3. The local champs, Wellington, champion sprinter, in he went in the Chairman Sprint Prize for the second year running. In the mile, Golden 60, I looked at California Spangle, the young one, and said, you're not good enough at this point. And then Romantic Warrior followed up his Derby win in the QE2 Cup. They're all back, but this time they're back against the foreign raiders, and that adds tremendous spice.
It really does. It's going to be a great day's racing. We're going to run through these 3 Group 1s, starting with the sprint, which is the first on Sunday. It comes up as race number 5. And Graham, are we all with Lucky Sweynesse here?
Sometimes the right answer is the obvious answer. That horse, he just keeps raising the bar. He can start a little slowly. It's not a big deal. He's very smooth thereafter, and he was desperately unlucky in December. He was sent off a red-hot favourite, saw about as much room as a canary in a coal mine. He just did not see any light whatsoever. A write-off. Since then, bang, 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 4 big wins, and he's beaten Wellington on the last 3 occasions. Huge soft spot for Wellington. He's done me some right good turns. I'm trying to find a reason why he should beat the favourite. I can't really find one.
I think that's the way it is. It's Lucky Sweynesse for me. I think you'd love to see Wellington run a race. I know Wellington's a very, as you say, you've got a soft spot for him.
Yeah, and sight success at a price, because I think he'll be a significantly bigger price than both the first 2 in the market, and especially if he gets a relatively easy time, might just be the type of horse who can hang on to second.
And for me, it's a Guri who might be that danger at a bit of a price. Will roll forward. A Japanese horse will be overlooked by the market, hoping he might be able to get second at a price. But look, Japanese sprinters we've seen they're a different level when they come across here to Hong Kong.
Golden 60, 24 wins from 28 starts. Never been beaten when he puts his head in front. 8 Group 1s. Vincent Ho has a charmed relationship with him. They have been the poster boys, the golden boys of Hong Kong racing. Is there any real reason to oppose him in the FWD Champions Mile?
I don't think so. I think it's going to be the Golden 60 coronation that we've been hoping to see. The real coronation a week out from the King's coronation. It's going to be the Golden 60 coronation because crowds here haven't had the chance to really give him that appreciation. They got to see him win the Stewards Cup. They got to see him win the Hong Kong Gold Cup. They were disappointed when they came to give him that kudos in December. I think they're going to be roaring their hearts out on
They
Sunday.
say it's going to be rammed this weekend. I think it's going to be the biggest crowd at Sha Tin for certainly 5-6 years, pre-COVID times. Not just because of the racing. There is a famous pop star called
Hanson Chan I saw was coming, and there's another one called I cannot remember. Kanto pop star.
There is potential for fun and games before racing as well as during. So Golden 60, I'm struggling for the Quinnell horse. You've slightly put me off California Spangle based on physical appearance, and if there's any suggestion that physically he's not bang there, the old bombs away tactics going forward hard could be problematic.
It could be problematic, and what concerns me too is that we've seen him have a very tough season. We know that, as I said, Tony Cruz is very tough on his horses, but it's also hard to find a horse to go into that second position if it isn't California Spangle. I might take a chance on the Kiwi Aegon, but really, who else is there?
You're deserting the Aussie Raider, my Oberon. You're not that keen on the ground by the sound of it.
I think he would prefer soft ground. He's also drawn awkwardly now. He came up the inside in a Doncaster Mile, which is one of Australia's best mile races. But I just am concerned about about how that will unfold. But if you look at their form, they've raced in similar races over the last season. They're very, very evenly matched.
I often overthink these things. At some point, a 7-year-old horse, rising 8 this summer, is not going to be able to dip below 22 seconds for the final quarter. Golden 60 did it first time out this season. He hasn't done it since. Maybe Sunday's the time for him to let it all hang out again.
And I will say he did work an absolute treat this morning. He looked like the Golden 60 of old, which we only got to see on internet streams, unfortunately. But seeing him this morning, you wouldn't know that he's a 7-year-old rising 8.
Let's roll on to the QEII Cup. I think I'm going to take a very straightforward price view of this. If you look on ratings, Andrew, top rated, Romantic Warrior, 124, based on his December demolition job of a high-class international field. If he's that horse again, he'll be mighty hard to beat. But Dubai Honour, based on form shown 4 weeks ago in the Queen Elizabeth Stakes, he's only £2 behind, and he's going to be a significantly bigger price. It's a Hong Kong thing, and it's a possible ground thing. But if Dubai Honour gets out to 7-2, 4, a bit bigger than 4-1, I would be tempted.
And I think this is the proof in the pudding about why commingling is such a big thing and why it's great to be able to bet into these Hong Kong pools, especially being based abroad, because the liquidity from abroad is not at the same levels as you'll get from Hong Kong. It creates a price, it creates a market.
Tell me if you agree with this. I've spent 4 years here, and as a punter, I used to think, how do they keep getting the markets for these handicaps so right and the Group 1s, in my opinion, so wrong?
Correct.
I often thought they made mistakes, especially with international raiders, might be hometown favours, etc., might be not quite at the deep understanding of what they bring. But I always thought that there was a real chance in the Group 1s that at least one horse would sneak in at a bigger price than he ought to be.
And it happened time and time again. I remember being here when Asian Hikari won the
massive price.
It should never have been that price. But it happens with the locals as well. When you get horses of a certain caliber. I remember when Abel Friend won a Premier Bowl, and he was 12, 13 to 1, and should never have been that price. I think that it is a matter of when you're dealing with horses of this caliber, you're dealing with a lot of different factors, and when you factor in international travel, you're factoring international form. It's so difficult to be able to assess, and I think that people here, when they know the form, it's a different matter.
What's your prognosis for the best alternative to the top 2 in the market?
My prognosis. I think he has to be the one for me. He can step up. Again, you're taking a chance. Very lowly rated, 113, only a Group 2 winner, but has only been tested up to Group 2 level. We're still yet to see what he's capable of. Only the 8 starts. I'm hoping he can step up, but he does have to.
one of the best bred horses on the planet, is Geraldina by Morris, triple Hong Kong Group 1 winner, including a Champions Mile.
Correct.
Out of 7-time Group 1 winner, Gentle Donna. Dubai wins 2 Japan Cups, I think.
Yep.
She's not as good as Mom or Dad, but I think she is a genuine Group 1 filly. Your point about getting a little back in what could be a steadily run race is a concern, but again, the tote board might reflect that, hello, this is a 115 rated filly getting £4, which takes her up to 119, only just behind the market leaders. So if you're looking for horses for your Quinella, Trio, etc., Forecast is a popular bet here now. Quinella's monster bet, as we know. I will go Dubai Honor, Romantic Warrior, and Geraldina. In that order, who knows?
And the one thing I will mention too about Geraldina, Equinox form. She's only beaten 4 lengths in an Arima Kinnan by Equinox. Now, again, mile and a half, the extended mile and a half. But anyone who's got that Equinox form, I think that's form now that resonates around the world, and she definitely brings that.
And she won that Queen Elizabeth Stakes. She beat Win Marilyn,
yeah.
Hong Kong Vase winner, lots of good horses in behind. So, fantastic weekend in prospect. Fantastic to see 2 Brits. Is it 1 Aussie, 1 Kiwi?
Aussie, 1 Kiwi.
Handful of Japanese. Please don't let the Japanese clean up again. They might do.
They are always capable of doing it. We've seen them do it in Saudi. We've seen them do it in Dubai.
Golden 60 scared the milers off, though, hasn't he?
He really has. And I think that, look, to be fair, there isn't even that level of 2,000 metre horse. We saw them all go to a Dubai Turf or a Shima Classic. So I'm excited. I can't wait. I know you can't wait.
1 banker bet, 1 value bet, you think?
Oh, look, I think that for me, banker has to be Golden 60 at a price. I know I don't want to be taking the shorts about him, but I look at the field around him. I just can't make a case for anything else. So Golden 60 for me has to be that banker that you include in all ups. Value bet probably has to be Prognosis, but it's a tough one.
It's just a feeling, and I can't explain why. I think the script, the Lucky Sweynesse, Golden 60, Romantic Warrior script, and I think that's definitely less than 3-1 the treble.
That would be.
Probably more like 9-4 the treble if you're looking at top prices. I just have a feeling that at least one of them is going to get rolled in, and possibly 2. But if you're looking for a banker, it's hard to look past Golden 60. It really is. And a value bet, I'm going to take 2 against the field in the QE2 Cup. Dubai Honor, if he gets out to beyond 7-2-ish, and Geraldina, who I'm hoping might be 8-1. Am I being too optimistic to think?
I actually think you might be. I think you might be being a little bit pessimistic. I think that the market around Romantic Warrior, he'll be short. I think Dubai Honor, we'll see where he ends up in the market. I think Dubai Honor might create the price there. And as I said, Prognosis with Zach aboard is probably going to be shorter than he should be, which means that Geraldina might end up being the one presented on a platter.
You can close it down any second, but what I will say is great to see a couple of Brits, Dubai Honor via Australia, and Flaming Rib, Sporting Challenge. We need more international challenges. There's 2.5 million for the QE2 Cup and 20 million for the other 2 races. It's going up by another 10% next year. It's not to like.
No, well, hopefully we get to see more international horses here and more international media. It's been great to see a lot of people from all around the world here and enjoying the festivities in Hong Kong. I mean, it's been quite something, hasn't it?
A couple of laps of power walking or straight to the restaurant now.
Oh, it's a tough decision, isn't it? I'm thinking might have to do both to make up for it, which is always the case here in Hong Kong. You live hard, you work hard, you play hard. Well, that's all the information you need to find a winner on FWD Champions Day coming up on Sunday at Sha Tin. Just a reminder, if you are having a bet, remember to gamble responsibly.